Welcome back, guys, to Off the Game Pod. I'm Joseph, your host, and with me we have Calister, we have Katelem as my co-host and analyst. Still, you get. And today
Come
we
on,
have Charles himself.
come
You
on,
can see him
drum
now, big
roll.
man, fine boy. Yes,
Good.
yes, yes, yes.
What
Drum
was it?
roll indeed, though. So he's a football enthusiast. He's a rapper, and that year he was
Yeesh.
a striker, so he's
He's
retired.
now a yes,
He's a
he's now
retired striker.
like we Rooney that year.
He's not.
I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to be professional. I'm just
But it
alpha
happens.
guys.
It happens.
Hey, my G's,
Yeah,
thank
so
you for
nice to meet you,
having
bro.
Yeah, man.
Welcome,
me. No
welcome,
problem.
welcome.
No problem. Thanks.
All right, so we'll have a short rundown of the whole weekend games, implications, and well, a bit of your thoughts and opinions. Like normals now, we're always learning of each other. Then Asha will obviously take the explainer. Like, see how Asha has become so good,
Nah,
though, guys.
Asha is
Like
really
he's
good,
learning it
man.
every day, putting in
Asha
the
is
work.
really good. I
You
didn't
get,
really expect that. Like the way
yeah,
he just handles the camera and his words is crazy.
you get. Like he's very good
Yeah,
with the whole setup.
yeah.
I'm so excited for him. So yes, to our lovely audience, we look forward to hearing from you in our comment sections and hitting us up on socials. So let's get straight into it, guys. Arsenal are drawing left, right, and center. What is
Hmm.
the
Wow.
problem,
Wait,
my guys?
let me
Catalan,
let's hear
Alpha.
from our newcomer. Let's hear something outside of the game.
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
let
Charles,
me
the
speak.
floor is yours.
Don't kill me. Oh, Arsenal. I think they've drawn. If I'm correct, yeah, they've drawn the last three games. Liverpool, West Ham, and Southampton. Personally, yeah, I think first thing foremost, so that you know that I'm very objective. I think personally, Arsenal they've
Hmm.
done a very good job. If I'm being honest, man. Putting rivalry aside, I think they've done a good job. Obviously, nobody expected them to be here, and obviously, I feel it's the loss of Saliba, and also pressure from the better side of Manchester, which is obviously Man City. I feel that the better side of Manchester, obviously, that pressure
Oh
has
shit, admire you.
has kind of I feel like it has kind of cracked them because on any given day, like the draw at Anfield 2-2,
Yeah,
that is a perfect result for anyone who wants to be champions at the end of the day. I know obviously guys are saying they bottled from a 2-0 lead, but it's not easy to go to Anfield and win. Even like
Yeah.
City lost earlier in the year, even with Dem Haaland and the rest, City lost. Even when Liverpool were on bad form, United lost 7-0. So let's not make it look as if okay, the results that Arsenal got was a poor one. Obviously, because of the pressure being mounted on them, it feels like a loss in a way, which is fine. But we also have to understand that at the end of the day, these guys are pushing above their weight. Because I saw a tweet the other time that said someone was like oh that I think he quoted a tweet where they said, oh, Arteta is ahead of schedule by putting Arsenal in
Mhm.
first place. Someone was like, oh, Arteta has been there for X amount of years. How is that ahead of schedule? But I feel like based on what he had to go through, I feel like at the end of the day, Arsenal being first at the moment, because come on, man, like in April, we're about to go into May, final stretch of the season. Arsenal being
Mhm.
first right now is an achievement with this current Arsenal squad against
I agree.
a City that has Haaland. And Haaland, we understand. Do you understand? Guys felt like, okay, obviously Haaland has like the odd number of goals this season, which obviously any given season, City will be first. But if you look at the goal difference as well between Arsenal and City, normally like 2 years, all those years that City have won the league, you can see that they're always ahead by goal difference by far, meaning that Liverpool had to beat them by points. But like Arsenal, I think the goal difference is either probably like +5 or like +4 goals. So as you can see, it's not that bad. But then I feel like mentally, I feel like they're feeling the pressure right now. City behind them. Losing
Mhm.
Saliba is just like oof has demoted. It has kind of dropped them. Obviously,
Mm,
a couple of players are out of form. Obviously, Saka clearly is out of form. You can clearly see that he's out of form. Jesus, his injury, and not having someone that could properly fill the void. Obviously, Nketiah tried, but
yeah, yeah,
that void was
yeah.
too
Yeah,
big.
he tried his
And
best. but
You try.
it's being a striker in the Premier League, especially at the top, is really hard.
Yeah,
Kalista,
man.
do you
You
have
me?
something to add to
Okay,
this?
Calister.
Um, uh,
Okay.
it's been a
No, Kali. Mm.
yeah. I can hear you.
Kalista, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. As I said, it's been an
Go ahead, we can hear
incredible
you.
year for Arsenal this season. It's been an incredible year for Arsenal this season. You can't take it out from the Arsenal team. For Mikel Arteta as well, he's pushed this team. The mentality this team had at the beginning of the season is way different from what they did last season. Last season was getting into the top four. This season is getting their hands on the Premier League title that they haven't won in like 20 years. So it's really a big deal for a lot of Arsenal and the players, as well as some of the players that have made themselves and they have come into this team. So for me, winning the trophy is going to be very, very difficult. I've always said for Arsenal about the Premier League title. In the last three seasons, four seasons, we've seen a very close margin, and that run has been between Man City and Liverpool in the last three seasons. So it's going to be very difficult for Arteta team to have this mentality to run the marathon. That is the issue he had last season, whereby he dropped three games, where Arsenal drew three games, lost once, and they drew against descent, and it became a very big issue for this Arsenal team not getting into the top four, even regardless of being in the top four throughout December last season. Now this season, the same story. City has a game in hand. Their next game is up against Arsenal. And you look at the squad depth, the experience as well, the credibility of the coach is going to be very, very difficult. But Arsenal still they cannot lose hope because they are still topping the table with 4 points. So who says City cannot drop points as well? So it's a two-way thing. But if you want to go by history and what you know, and when you talk about people that have really been in the run for the league for the last 4 5 years, you just have to go to City. And looking at the firepower of like the player of like Helen Haaland in that team, looking at how he's doing up front. Look at Maris a few days ago with a hat trick as well. You look at the team in the midfield as well as the defense. Arsenal's biggest issue in this second half of the season is defense. And I remember when Saliba went out injured, I think that would be the biggest problem for Arsenal. That will be one of Arsenal's biggest blow because you look at Tomiyasu has not been as functional as it was last season. Now you have to go back to Rob Holding. So it's very difficult. You look at the West Ham game. Antonio really marshaled out Rob Holding. Then you look at the game they lost against they drew against the Southampton team.
Yeah.
Yes, Ramsdale did give that one out, but you look again, you look at the body positioning, the communication between the backline of Rob Holding. He's not used to playing regularly this season, so it's going to be very difficult for him to have that pairing, that very compact pairing at the backline. But for Arsenal and the boys, they have to talk about the players. I will not agree
I
with the
know
fact
that.
that a lot of people think that the team is a young squad. They have some experienced players there. They are no longer young. I think they have grown. Bukayo Saka has grown. Zichenko is very experienced. Thomas Partey as well is an experienced player. You have Granit Saka, who is there as well. He is very experienced. Martinelli, yes, he's experienced, but Gabriel Jesus is not he's a very, very experienced player. So they have a squad that is experienced enough to be able to be pushing for the league. But if you want to put squad to
Wait,
squad with
Kali,
City,
I'll
I'll go with
stop you there.
City.
You can't. All right. So I also would like to ask something. In that they were already taking the league by such a margin, right? Is it not fair to say, okay, Arsenal just took their time to like rest up? Do you get at least these three draws? They didn't lose. There are three draws, but it's this kind of game that okay, we're already 5 points ahead. We rest and prepare for a Man City that's coming up. Do you understand? So let's try and conserve energy, play as hard as we need to. The same way Man City were playing earlier in the season when they were just finding their gears. They were not playing at their max output until they faced maybe a Manchester United. So do you think maybe they were preparing for this Wednesday's Premier League final?
Yeah,
Do you get
first of
Scotland?
all,
What are you
man.
saying?
Yeah, first of all,
Sorry, Charles.
Charles
Let's
gave
I
some
want to hear
expert
that.
analysis here. I'm proud of my boy, man. Proud of my boy. But, but yeah,
Once
the
you know
truth
the
is, I
game, you
agree,
know
I
it.
agree with Charles because the truth is nobody expected Arsenal to be where they are right now. And we're even talking as if, this kind of talk you talk where you know that, okay, like they're not going to win the league. So it's as if we're not giving them their flowers now. Like, but they still have games to go. But the problem with that City game is
Mm.
that Haaland is on the brink of breaking that record. So that guy is coming with fire. Man City, they are on the brink of, like, now they know that the league is in their hands if they win the outstanding two games. So they are going to come with fire, and then it's in Etihad. So it's just like all the odds are stacked against Arsenal. So I feel like if Arsenal can win that
Mm.
game, psychologically it does a lot to them, and it does a lot of negative.
Do you
I
think
don't think
Arsenal
they
can win
can,
that
to
game?
be very honest. I don't think they can win it. And
Do
the
you think
thing is,
Arsenal
they
can win
still
that
have
game?
Newcastle. Newcastle that just pipes Tottenham 6-1. They still have Brighton. They still have Chelsea. So
Six
it's
one.
looking
No.
long for Arsenal. No. It's looking long.
And to be honest, I think when
Okay,
you talk
Kalista,
about
how
the,
about you?
I think when you talk
Do you
about
agree with Do you agree
Arsenal,
with them that Arsenal can win that game in Man City?
not really. I don't. I think Ateta knows by himself that drawing 3 games straight was as if he lost 2 games and instead of winning one.
There's a break.
That is 3 points from 9 points that you're supposed to get. So you just picked up 3 points from games that you should be winning. That is another thing. So that's the only issue Ateta has is they draw back to back. If he had lost one game and won two, that is 6 points out of 9 points. It puts him in a very, very good position, irrespective of the fact that City has 2 games in hand. Now you have a 9 point and you're just picking 3 points out of it. Putting in mind that you still have a City side, a Chelsea side, a Newcastle side, as well as a Brighton team. And three key things that this have is that you can't tell me that Arsenal is going to win all of these 4 games. For Arsenal to win the league, Arsenal will have to mathematically win every single game they have left in the Premier League. They are not in any competition whatsoever. City are in the Champions League, City are in the FA Cup, and City are contending for the league. So City have more game and more worry more concerns on their plate to worry about. But right now, Arsenal have nothing but to be fully focused on the league. And that is where I think Ateta goofed. You shouldn't be losing or dropping points. If it feels like a loss, there's no how you will not feel it. You feel like it's a loss. Now you're going to an Etihad team. What do you do there? You face a Newcastle side who is fighting to go to the Champions League as well. Then a Brighton side who have an incredible run so far. Then a Chelsea side, a Chelsea might be performing badly. They might not be within Europe, but when it comes to Chelsea and Arsenal, it's still a big game. They might create an upset. So for Arsenal, I can't beat my chest and say Arsenal will not drop points at the end of the season. And that is where it's skeptical. But for City, I can say City can go for a run, or even if they're going to drop points, I don't think they can drop more than 4 points.
All right, all right. So you don't believe that they can do it, Charles? Do you think this match for City and Arsenal is make or break it for especially Arsenal?
It is. Yeah, I feel like there are two scenarios, yeah, in this whole title base. I feel like personally, there's the scenario whereby Arsenal will lose to City at the Etihad, and then they'll obviously settle for second place after that. But then I do feel like they will beat City at Etihad. That's the second scenario. They'll beat City at Etihad. They'll then go ahead by 2 points because literally beating City is fun, and then they'll both keep winning up until the end of the season. That's it. But then, like
You trust them to
Catherine
clear
said,
Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea?
bro, if they beat City, bro, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
they're winning all their remaining games. There's no points. That is that I
Yeah,
can make that promise. If they
Mm.
beat City, they win all
mentality.
their remaining games. Yeah.
Wow.
So literally, but the only thing is motivation because I think Katelem mentioned. So hold on now. Katelem mentioned the Haaland record. That is one. That is also like a mini thing. But then we also have to understand on the bigger picture, we have Guardiola as well. City have won back to back. Now, this year is a year where City can literally smash United completely in the sense that if City win the Prem this year, that's a three-peat that Fergie did. That is
In
one
a
of
row.
Fergie's biggest achievements. And also, if they go on to win the treble, it's like the perfect crowning of everything. They won the and the treble in the same year. You get so like there's no other conversation from the red side of Manchester again. So that's the way I see it. If it comes to, but do I believe that Arsenal can beat City? I do. I do. Funny enough, because I have to be objective here, and I cannot be. I can't put bias into this. I do. Uh, no, I do think Arsenal may beat City because yeah, that's just it. I don't know. I
So if
just
I
have that
say
feeling they
I
will
go
beat City.
for that
So
game,
we're putting it on record. Charles believes Arsenal will beat City on Wednesday.
Arsenal will beat City. At most, it's probably going to end in a draw. But however, it's either going to be an
I
Arsenal win or a
and
City spanking,
it's more
literally.
likely that
So
City
one
spank
of the
you.
two. So I don't know, bro, because the two games that I saw, obviously they've played two different games this season, and I think it was Carabao FA Cup, a cup game, and I feel like Arsenal had a second team there, and they held their ground. To be fair, against City, the game against City at Emirates, I feel like Arsenal went toe to toe
Yeah,
with City. Obviously, they forced that change and the silver change. Yeah, so obviously, I feel like they held their ground. Obviously, Etihad is a different ball game completely, but if
Yes,
they could go
exactly.
exactly, if they could go toe to toe with Liverpool, I mean, there are two things here. If Arsenal are going to beat City, they need Rob Holding and Ramsdale. They need those two guys, Rob Holding and Ramsdale. Ramsdale obviously had the off game against Southampton, but Holding, they need Holding to come clutch against what's it called against Haaland. That's just it.
Okay, so I want to get you guys on record. Kalista, who are you calling for the game? Man City, Arsenal, or Wednesday?
Man City to win. They will be whooped.
Kali,
Arsenal
just
will
give me
slow
somebody.
cry. I'm so sorry, but I don't see how Ramsey is going to be able to hold
Say they will be
Haaland,
whooped.
will be able to hold Mares, will be able to hold on to De Bruyne. They will just be battered. So sorry. Sorry.
yeah. I don't see
Katelem, how about
Haaland
you?
not scoring in that. I don't see him not breaking the record in that game at Etihad. Like every like it's like the stars are aligned for this moment
Yeah.
in the Premier League for Haaland to break this record at this point. So I don't see him not smashing it there. So I will go for City, man. But I hear where Charles is coming from. I think Arsenal can go toe to toe, but I think City will edge it.
On the note of mentality, so Simon used to shout this thing where he
Mm,
says the mentality change in Arsenal,
mm.
but that they've improved
I
and
wish he
then they
was
can
here.
seriously take the game to you. I personally think it would be a high scoring draw. Do you understand? Because yes, as in he's the perfect Arsenal fan, but technical issues he
I
gets.
feel
But
like yeah, it will be a
So,
draw.
so
Yeah,
let me ask now,
you get like
I'll
is a
somebody
draw.
just pulls something at the end
If
of
this
the
match
game
is a
to pull
draw,
the
who
game
has the
down.
advantage? Psychologically, not in terms of points, so just
if this match
psychologically, who has the advantage?
City has the advantage. City.
It depends on
if
how
it's
the draw comes.
No,
That's
if
why I
it's
four
a
said
draw in a row.
Points, so and
Four draw
no,
in a
if
row.
it's a draw,
Out of
if it's
out
a
of a
draw,
point of out of a point of 12 games that you're supposed to get 12 points, you are taking out 4 points back to back to back. It's a loss because you look at the next of Chelsea City's games that are left in the Premier
that
League. It's not
that's true.
as tough as Arsenal. So now, if City drop one more point, maybe they lose to one team and win the rest of the game, and Arsenal drop 2 points, like losing two games or drawing one more game,
But Man City are playing
City
three
is through.
competitions.
So Arsenal will have to win. They cannot draw point. They cannot draw that game. It must be a win game. They have to win City and win the rest of their game to win the league.
Just the same. Just the
Do you know
same.
what? Yeah, I feel
Okay,
like
okay,
Arsenal may
okay.
even have
We
a
get
lot
you,
like their
get you, get
fixtures. Their last two fixtures are against relegation teams. So that's Nottingham Forest and Wolves. So like I feel like Arsenal's fixtures are even a lot more harder than we think it is
There's
because
a
at
potential.
the end of the season, relegation teams are always on smoke. You get so I don't see Arsenal winning this
They
league.
have nothing to lose.
They are
Arsenal can win
something.
this league. Bro, they need to crown Ateta, man. If like from here they can win this league, nah, that's a massive achievement.
Yes, honest.
do what you guys are missing? I feel if you ask me, if they draw psychologically, I think the advantage is with Arsenal. Let me tell you why. Because you have to look at the end of the draw. Okay, whose team talk is going to ginger the team more. Because I feel like if Arsenal draw at the Etihad, I feel like Arteta is going to give them that team talk. Oh, you guys went toe to toe with the champions. Because we still have to remember City are champions. Went toe to toe with the champions. It's going to be more like a loss to Guardiola. Let me land. Let me land. And you have to look at order of priority. I do
Yeah,
not
yeah,
think the
yeah, yeah.
league is City's priority as well. Literally.
It's
Because first of
Champions
all,
League.
they literally have this like their best chance to win Champions League. Literally, if they beat Madrid, they face one of the Italian sides. No disrespect to say but I feel like if City get past Madrid, which I think they will, they're smashing either Inter or AC Milan. That's the truth of the matter. And then they have a one-off game with United. Do you really think they are going to want to
You
lose
really
an
don't
FA
know
Cup
Pep
final, the first
Guardiola.
ever derby?
You don't study
Yes,
Pep
no,
No,
Guardiola.
wait,
I,
hold
Pep
on,
no,
hold
I,
on, hold on.
Guardiola is one
Before,
greedy
before
no,
you
coach.
I'm
go,
not
before you go,
To
hold
back
on.
hat-trick,
no, but let me tell you what it is.
Champions League, and just leave
No,
City.
he's a greedy coach, but
Just
let's not make
just
it seem as if
potential.
oh,
He wants to win the league.
okay, but let me ask you a question. No, but if you, it's not about what Pep wants, because Pep has wanted to win the
Yeah,
Champions League and he
He's
hasn't
the
won it
coach.
that's
all.
He's the
his
one that will
priority.
set up
So
the
at the end,
play.
it's not about what Pep wants. If we're being
He's what he wants.
objective,
That's
but
true.
Pep
He's
was
the
the one that,
coach. He's stability.
but Pep is the one that set up the same players that have lost in the Champions League multiple times.
What
So
do you say? When City won the last
go
Premier,
on.
So you
they
see,
won the last Premier League on the final day when a lot of people thought City was not going to win.
Yeah,
Again,
but
it is
you
what Pep Guardiola wants and what he tells the coach.
No, but
didn't have
He can
champions.
tell these players that we spent so amount of money to
do,
bring you into this club. We can win the Premier League, win a treble. It's even to your own record as a player that you won the treble. You won the Champions League and the Premier League and the FA Cup at that moment because he has players that he can rotate. That's how massive. Look at the
that's
goalkeeper that keeps in the FA Cup. He has not lost a single game since he started being in goal from the quarterfinal stage. So they have a crop of players that can rotate. In the FA Cup, he might not even start his regular there. And he'll go and win it. If he doesn't win, he's fine. But that does not mean that he will not compete. So Arsenal fans should not deceive
So
themselves that Pep Guardiola
that
is
you
focusing
definitely,
on the Champions League. Oh.
or when push comes,
that's
okay.
how
Let's leave this Arsenal Man City conversation to another day. Don't worry,
we're
the
going
match is on
to
Wednesday.
FA Cup
We'll talk
final
about it
conversation. But go on.
when I don't worry yourself. All right, so based on what we just want to talk about, now we're having derbies left, right, and center. We have
Mm.
the interzone. You get how do you guys for the FA Cup Manchester derby? Though they are playing in Wembley, obviously. Do you guys think?
hey man, this
What do you
FA
guys
Cup,
look at that match
I'm
as being?
I'm a
Man City
United
whoop
fan,
them
but
again, or
it's sad
Man
because
U
if
provide
City,
offset?
FA Cup final is usually after the season finishes. If City wins that league, they are winning the FA Cup for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That one is for
Yes.
certain. So Man U prayer, please let them not win the league. But even if they don't win the league, they can still smash them in the FA Cup. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I
See,
think I think for Man City, how do you guys see that win against Sheffield? I know Sheffield is a championship side, but almost Mahrez hasn't played in like three
Yeah, and he
games,
just
right? I
came
was
and
not
up the
started in three
hat-trick
games.
like it's
Came back
nothing.
and scored a hat trick. Made up for lost time.
You see my problem with
Do
Mahrez
you
hat
get
trick there,
like
yeah.
he walked through
My
that
problem with
defense
that
and I
hat
was so
trick is now, let's say City beats Madrid. Pep is always overthinking in the final. Now you see that okay, Mahrez is now playing well. Maybe he can change the whole system that has
he
brought
might
him
try
in
to
here
play him.
and put Mahrez. So that was my problem with seeing Mahrez score hat trick. But anyway, I mean, I think they will win us. I think they will win us. The funny thing with Man U is that we feel like now we won the Carabao Cup, so we feel like okay, we have a trophy.
Come on, Katelem, have more
Oh,
faith. Have more faith.
my brother,
Yes, have faith. You can win this one
It's FA
too.
Cup. What am I doing
I'm
with FA
ashamed
Cup?
of you.
So let's be honest.
What,
What are you doing,
No, I
Carabao
said
what
Cup?
you celebrated Carabao now?
Cup, man,
You
bro.
celebrated Carabao, so
I need
FA.
something better, man. We're better than that shit.
To be fair,
That's-
you're supposed to be objective, so I'll give you this one shot. To be honest,
okay.
but I don't know.
Okay.
One off United City. Come on, I don't know. See, I'm the biggest Pep Guardiola fan. Before you think I'm being biased against Pep or something, I'm the
Mm,
biggest Guardiola fan. Oh, but a one-off game against
Yeah,
United
yeah,
is not
yeah,
like you
yeah,
write United off
yeah.
completely. Like City United, when it comes at a neutral ground as well. Well, come on, like
United always
I don't.
that's
but
just my say. I haven't mentioned who's going to win.
I think it's so going to
So you guys
be
are not looking at it like first before we even
if
go on.
it's going to be City to win
Okay,
because
Kelsey.
if you look at the game City and Man U have played this season, it's just been terrible. The record for Man U has not been the best record so far. Hat trick in that game, two hat trick, Phil Foden in the first leg, and Haaland as well with a hat trick. Marshall coming off the bench to score a goal in that one as well as one a goal
A
as well.
city we
So if you
trust.
watch that game and you watch City and United this season, I don't think Man United fan will go. And looking at the way they play so far in recent time, except Rashford has something in his cupboard we don't know about yet. Then you look at the back line. Hopefully by then Bahrain should be back or some other players because you see that Lindelof pairing with that in that defense. That
Over
defense, that defense
Maguire.
that
Over
defense is
Maguire.
not it, and it's a good one because at the end of the season they will be out of this making it to the top four, getting into Europe is off the plate, and they'll be focused on the FA Cup. But for City, I never doubted City because Mourinho said last season this team has a second 11 that can win you a trophy. That's how equipped the City team is. And when Pep Guardiola, people say Pep Guardiola over teams, I don't really think because sometimes his tactics works. This is a coach
Not
that improve players and play them where you don't expect them to play in their natural position. So when it works, people don't really give him the credit. And when it doesn't work, someone like Katelem will be saying he's overthinking. But he's
so
overthinking might pay off this time because I really think Pep Guardiola will win the Champions League, to be fair.
you know his name.
In Pep we trust. I swear. Okay, before we go any further and round up, how far? What do you guys look at that Newcastle Tottenham's match?
But
Like the whole
me,
match was just a mess.
let me
5-21.
address this issue
What
first.
what was that?
I told Spurs in the
Who
last
wants to start?
episode.
Okay, Catalan.
I
Top,
told
top as
Tottenham.
goalers. Go on.
I told them in the last
You told them
episode
to sign
that
you. They
they
didn't
should
hear.
have signed me. I would have brought them out of this. I told them in the last episode. Now they come this week. Charles, why are you looking like that? You know my capabilities. You know.
Nigga, I know,
So
yeah, I know, too.
now this week, yeah, the big
I know what it is. You want to, this guy, 20 years, bro. Nobody's
see
going to
the
sign.
biggest issue was necessarily the biggest issue. I watched that game, right? Loris has been bad
Mm.
for about 7 years now. No disrespect to him, but he has been under par
Yeah,
for about 7 years now.
It's bad. It's error.
Exactly. And I looked
It's
at this
prone
guy.
to error. It's bad.
it's very error prone.
For me, anybody that was in that Argentina team that gave Messi the World Cup, everybody is good in my eyes. But Cristiano Romero in that game looked like he was still sleeping. Like there were times where he was just standing. He couldn't even move. So, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, Spurs has just never, and this is what Conte was saying. They just never been like they don't like to play under pressure. They don't like to play for something. Whenever the lights are on, they don't respond. See Newcastle that have never they have these players have never even had
It's
like
strange.
Champions League experience or pedigree. But look at how hungry they are. But it's Spurs are just so they're just so lackadaisical about. And then I mean,
Is it? I did. Exactly.
I think. I
Do you
think.
think it's a
I think.
mentality problem,
Let
like
me
how Ten
start
Hag
by
came through and changed mind?
let me start by saying first of all, before we go into the aspect of sports systematic issue, we should look at the fact that the interim coach was so gullible enough to use a back four for the first time in a long period of time for the Tottenham Hotspur team. I don't know how you go with a back four. Tottenham Hotspur usually play a back three with Eric Dyer there in the center, but all of a sudden you went with the back four. I really don't understand what I Charles. Let me round up so that you'll be able to have enough time. But I really don't understand what was happening with the lineup, the selection. Now, I want to call out the players. I remember when Antonio Conte went out to have that outburst, and a lot of people were calling him that he was talking too much here and there. As Katelem said, he's a professional footballer. We know his abilities. Kane is a professional footballer. Hugo Lloris is a professional goalkeeper. The aspect that he's really prone to errors, it is what has cost Spurs the amount of goals they have conceded. Look at Eric Dier. I'm calling out these players now. They are
Like,
professional footballers. They should know the basics. Eric Dier has been in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken, for the last 4 or 5 seasons. And every single time he looks as if he was improving under Conte. Now he's
yes,
declining.
I know, let
You look at Son, you look at Human Son. Human Son scored 23 non-penalty goals last season. This season he has been struggling after the World Cup is terrible. Harry Kane started the season thinking about his contract and how he wants to leave, and too many talk and there about and this one and this. And we have one, two best players that have combined in the Premier League in the last 3 seasons are struggling for Tottenham Hotspur. Then you look at the engine room. They brought in Perisic, Rich Allison. These are players that the coach called out and talk about their impression. After the World Cup, Rich Allison has not really been impressful. He was struggling with Everton when Everton was struggling with injury. Now he's in Tottenham Hotspur. He has really not hit the ground rolling. You look at Lucas Moura. He's one of their engine room when it comes to creativity. What has happened this season? So, irrespective of Daniel Levy issue, the systematic issue, my brother, these players are playing below par. They
yes,
play as if they have nothing to
mm,
fight on about. They play as if they have never been at the big stage. They play as if they don't have the Champions League to look out for. And that is what Conte was saying before he left. You can blame Daniel
it looks like
Levy, you
Charles.
can blame any other person, but you see some players that I have called out for, they have been poor this season and they should hide their faces in shame.
All right, Charles, how far? Anything to just drop at
Charles
the
has
end? Any
told
two nuggets?
See, first thing, all I, let me tell you, all I'll say is that please, like, I have freedom to speak and they won't flag your content, right?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
You see, it's Tottenham brothers, yeah. See, first, you guys are already Tottenham fans, your audience. I promise you, you'll never win any league with Eric Dyer or Oliver Skipper. So don't worry, just leave it. Anything, see, you are not winning any league with those guys, so it's cool. 6-1 against Newcastle. Obviously, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, this result has been coming like from time. Like from the moment they conceded those two late goals to Southampton, I knew that this was going to happen. Then Saki Conte, and that result, let me tell you, the thing with Tottenham is a mental thing because it just shows lack of passion. Because you have two teams that are both vying for Champions League spots late in the season, and one decides to lose 6-1, conceding 5 goals in the first
One.
21 minutes. Come on, like, come on, like that is just lack of, because there's no other motivation that you need. Like, and this idea of top six is garbage, and I only feel like he's only pushed by all the British media to like give a big game feel, or like to like to like try and like narrate a story as to when you went to a big stadium or whatever.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, yes, you have at the end of the day, yes, you have Champions League qualifications, but honestly speaking, when you stack Tottenham against the other 5 teams, they look out of depth completely. Yes, they look good off the pitch. They have nice stadium, their deals, and they have some nice white jerseys. But that is just about it because if we're looking for evidence,
Rema-
a team cannot produce a player that wins the Golden Boot, playmaker award in the
yeah,
same season and still not win the league. And the same thing that Conte was saying at the point, yeah, you have to at a point you have to start pointing fingers because there's something
Yes.
you can't keep clothing it behind lack of confidence and toxic work environment because at the end you have to understand the toxic work environment happens because more than 75% of those players are babies, and the moment you push them to like motivate them to do something, they go back into their shell. The team is not even balanced. You have Harry Kane, you have Son, and then you have a couple of guys like all the you have Kulusevski is at least trying. Hoiberg is okay,
yeah,
but back then
the
you had some
Hoiberg is
random.
okay.
Yes, and back then you had some random players that were comfortable with living in London
How do you
and
how do you put Sanchez up, then you take him off in the same game? Shows
do
how
you understand?
terrible
He's
they were playing.
shocking.
Now
Yeah.
my main
Clueless as
take on
well.
this Tottenham thing
Clueless.
is no, my main take is Harry Kane. You see, Harry Kane is one of the best strikers around. I've been saying this, but he's doing a disservice to himself because at the end of the day, there's loyalty. and then there's lack of self awareness. I feel he's not aware of himself at all because at the end of the day, yeah, his contract ends next season, so Tottenham have to like either sell him in the summer or they can take that risk of trying to gaslight him to stay like they always do to sign a new contract. But then at the end of the day, like it makes no sense to be there. Your team is losing 6-1. Bro, the one goal he scored, he literally
I
did all the
swear.
work by himself. And then at some point, he has to, you understand, at some point, he has to look to himself
So
and be like,
Charles,
no,
not to
like,
cut you, not to cut you, and you're dropping pointers, you get. But we are out of time for today. Honestly, don't worry. You're welcome back anytime. I
I think
swear.
I'll catch you next week.
All right, guys. And we are done. Honestly, you guys were amazing. Thank you so much, audience, for joining us on this episode of Off the Game. It's been an absolute pleasure with Katelem, Calister, and
Please
our
come back,
guest
man.
today,
Keep coming back. Keep
Charles.
coming back.
He had some
We need you
amazing
here.
insights into the game.
Please,
Voila, you're
please come
very
back
invited,
to
my
me.
brother.
Stop you
All
on
right.
side.
I hope you enjoyed the discussion. I hope you picked up some new knowledge on the beautiful game we love. Don't forget to follow us on. Don't forget to keep up with our latest content by subscribing to our channels on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and even Snapchat. You get we're on everywhere. You can find us at Off the Game Pod. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, keep enjoying football. Keep enjoying our beautiful game.
Guys.
Take care of yourselves. Peace.